How old is your age?
Usually expensive. Like I can find a year.
Anything else? You-
Talk the latest, because I told them first pitch at 7, so. Meetings over at 7, guys. Okay. But I'm gonna open it up for owner's comments, so if you wanna go ahead and speak, we'd love it. Sue's
I
here.
guess that's me.
You're,
I've been, I think it's the first rec committee meeting I've been to. I've been talking to Nikki and others about this. When I looked at my notes, like since 2017 is the latest. The tennis court situation, the community has let down the residents by not building new courts. Since 2017, we have worked on a couple solutions. It's only gotten worse. The Darren's program has grown. And what that does, it facilitates new people playing tennis. And so now you have, like John needs to go have lessons and they play, the parents play, as well as we've had apartments built like Evander, we've had Island Village, Spring Lake. How many new courts have been added since those facilities have been built? None. So the only day, and look at the schedule, which I'm sure Nikki had, the only day a resident, not in the men's senior group or the women's group, can play on the morning is Tuesday morning. That's it. Tuesday, Sunday morning. That's it. That's not right for a resident who pays his dues. I want to go out and play tennis. Some resident had a smart aleck comment from the other day when I brought a brand new resident. We had kicked off 3 courts for groups in Darien. This at 6:45 in the morning. 3 courts got kicked off. And I said, I guess it's not the resident. Some residents taking a private lesson, paying $100, said, well, I'm a resident. You know, congratulations. You want to pay $100, you can play whenever you want to. I'm not doing it. I'm a competitive tennis player. I don't want to have to drive 45 minutes from the FCA to go get a court and pay $20 an hour. I should not have to do that. I should be able to play on mornings other than Tuesday morning and Sunday. That's it. The problem is the women's and men's group used to start at 9 o'clock. So from 7 to 9, you could play. There's no problem. They went up to 8:30. Now at 6:45 in the morning, the men's and ladies are getting there on their courts. 6:45 in the morning. So when can we play? It's not fair. It's not. Here's a simple solution. Make them start at 8:30 or 9. Then you open up 3 courts. Darren has 2 until 9. Court 3 is open, and then they renumber and 1 and 2 will be open. That would allow 3 courts if we want to play from 6:30 to 9. That would be a amicable solution for everybody. I would say 95% of the men's and women's group are retired. They're not going to work at 7:30 in the morning like us who play at 6:30 are. It's a solution. Other than building new courts, I kick people off those courts every week. That should not be my job. Non-residents come use our facilities every day. I know who plays, I know who doesn't. And when I ask them, do you live here? They say no. And they have to leave. Put a keypad where you hang your badge on the court that you're on. And if you're not hanging a badge, you don't have the right to be on the court. We have 5 courts for how many people live in Celebration? It's not enough. Protect the ones we have, build new ones, and a simple solution is let the group start after 8:30 or. I guess I want to ask for feedback because as a resident who's been asking for 8 years now for this, it's just gotten worse. Like what can be done from this committee, from the board level?
So I think that what we have done, correct me if I'm wrong, Nikki, there has been some monitoring, like seeing how often the courts were being used. Were we doing it that early in the morning when we did that?
We did 10 times the starts.
So when we did audits earlier, they started at 7. So we might have started earlier than that. And did we find them being used at 7, like fully?
Some days are correct, no, that's accurate.
Okay.
Some days are full.
Okay. All right. Then that's probably something we need to add to our agenda. I was on the committee last year. I wasn't chair, so I remember us talking it, but to be honest, I don't think.
I mean, I want to be really polite and respectful. Nothing has been done. There's been no resolution.
That's right.
And on Saturday mornings at 7 a.m., there's a line for the tennis courts. I'm happy to send pictures to the committee.
Okay.
How many days have you groups meet?
Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Tuesday morning is the only weekday morning they don't meet, and Darren has 2 to 3 courts, and then that leaves those other 2 or 3 courts. So that is the only day during the week, other than Sunday, where there's not lessons, because I think Advantage Tennis it's on the board, they have Saturday morning. And then the groups have those other 4 days.
And that group they refer to is or it's not under Advantage Tennis.
They are not, it's called Active Ladies and Men's Senior Open.
Okay.
And it's not competitive tennis, so I'm not gonna play with that group. And the other requirement is those group members, most of the men live here because I know them. You know, I was riding by and I heard all the ladies talking about where they live now. They've all moved out of Celebration except for one or two.
Okay. And that wasn't on one of our groups or clubs.
Correct, they're not considered a part of program or club. That's something that we can talk about today.
That's probably where we'll start.
Yeah.
See, is we already limited Darren's times.
Right, that's where we started. So then this clubs, for lack of a better word, we need to figure out why or why not they're not listed because we make them do it for volleyball, right?
I mean, you should have thought, I mean, nobody else can book courts but them, but they, you know, they have carte blanche to use the courts Monday through Friday, other than Tuesday. They just show up and they have a court reserved for them.
All right, we gotta dig into this.
I mean, you have to, I mean, this new resident who's a new local position, it was embarrassing on Monday morning when we got to play. He said I should probably sell my house because like these facilities are, you know, not anything that I bought to come in here for.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much for hearing me.
We have his name.
Brent Gates,
Yeah.
257 Katie Sheriff. Thank you.
Thank you, Brent. Okay. All right. Welcome, everyone. Want to notify that we do have enough attendance for a forum. So, the next will be to go ahead and adopt the agenda. I would like to recommend under action items that we reverse 1 and 2. So that with our, finance committee partners here, we can let them go in case, number 1 gets.
So moved.
Go watch some baseball too. Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda with flip flopping 1 and 2 for action items? Rob? John?
I just wanted to ask if we possibly add how define how a group can go from a club to a partner.
Right now you have to make a motion.
I make a motion to go.
So you've got to make a motion. to approve and then discuss. Yep.
I'll second.
Mark, I didn't hear your comments. I'm sorry.
I make a motion to adopt the agenda with a free thought 1 and 2.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and a motion to, add a discussion item about how a group would change, what their designation would be. Do we have a motion for that? That comes from John, did we have a second?
Listen.
Captain, second, all those in favor? Okay, we'll add that as 3 time depending. All right, so with that, we're gonna do right into reviewing partner programs and civic group rental rates. These were discussed in a meeting. July, August. Time runs together. So we voted on them in the past meeting. Oh, let's be nice here. Welcome. I didn't even vote. I'm very sorry. So this is Marco and this is Andy. We should go around and just kind of say who we are. I'm so sorry I didn't start with that. That was, I'm focused, sorry. So I'm Victoria. I'm the chair of the committee here. My past background is that I was Little League president for 4 years. And so that was kind of what got me into recreation. I have 2 very incredibly active kids that got me involved in a lot of other programs that way. So that's my background here. So Lindsay.
Lindsay, this is my second year with the committee. I'm the majority owner of Rex Academic, one of been in town for 12 years. We're not currently out of town home until they on the situation. Catherine, hi, I'm a newbie, and a new resident, actually just less than a year. And I thought I could help do some work there.
Rob says, do we too? 2 years in Celebration. Just concerned residents, see when we get involved and make sure we do strength.
John, okay. A year and a half, and patent examiner. We get it all.
Andy, we're. I'm here.
Just speak.
solve problems. They're going to be cleaning our.
Marshall Mesa, serve the board, advisory like committee 2019. Thank you for having me. Glad to help. Being our service residents 2017. We'll go. You go.
There we go. This meeting's gonna be out of the norm. So tonight, when you go home and say that group's crazy, it's true. But this is really more of a workshop where we're gonna try and really brainstorm. We have Mike here from the finance committee to really bounce our ideas of numbers off of, to make sure we're just not pulling them out of thin air. We're saying how we kind of got to them. And then Mike can tell us we're on the right path or not. And really, I want this committee to collaborate with us more, because we don't have all the answers and we're all doing our best, so we need. So that's that. So with that, we will start on the rental rates. Nikki, I'm gonna turn it over to you for any comments, kind of kick that part off.
Oh, so as far as the rental rates, I just add this to the packet, so everybody's here on the facility particulars, basic basis will be a part of the discussion. Are the partner program rates to be. But these rental rates were approved by the rec committee and last meeting. So I just wanted everybody to have a copy of the current approved rates. That will be going in a packet to the global board for approval. The goals had everything ready to go to the board.
Question.
Yeah.
I didn't see the tennis courts on the record with that separated.
So as far as the tennis courts, we discussed removing the tennis courts as well as volleyball courts off. Because we were determining whether or not we want to keep those as just amenities for the residents, or if we want to reserve them.
But people are reserving them anyway.
For, correct, for our partner programs or like groups in town, they have to be like a group in order to like book the facilities. But that's something that we're gonna be discussing with the designation of the partner programs, whether or not we want to keep certain groups.
And they don't have to pay because they're.
So some partner programs, pay, some do $10 per person, some do a monthly rate, some do 20%, or 20% of their revenue each month. So we're just trying to figure out if we're going the right track. Some groups, if they don't charge anything like table tennis and it's complimentary for residents, we offer the facility for free. With the men's open play as well as the active senior ladies that Brent was talking about. They're complimentary, they don't charge anything. That's why we offer the facilities for them. But as you can hear, there's some concerns that has been happening. So that's why I wanted to talk about the definition of community groups requirements. In order to just use our facilities. I don't want groups to keep coming in and just taking advantage of facilities. So we're gonna have requirements, goals to have all these groups when they're designated, all have a contract. And they're required to attend the recreation committee yearly, so we can hold them more accountable.
So to give you a little background, which we hear, these were voted on at the last meeting, and then vote we honestly ChatGPT to make it more professional, and then sent it out to the committee to vote. So it's voted in. So these are the definitions that were voted on accordingly. The next are the requirements. Or excuse me, the next is actually the priority. So when there's space, this says who gets the priority accordingly. So it goes through that. Your next one will be the requirements. This is the requirement currently of what makes you fall into that definition, if that makes sense. And then we get to the fees part of it, which is what we'll be discussing today. So there's a couple things that I want to bring you guys up to speed with. When it comes to fees, we've talked about it 80-20. So that would mean that if I have a business and I turn in my tax report to you of what my profit is, then it would say that 20% of that profit would be paying the fees to use the space. That's one way. That's
So it's not gross, it's like.
It's revenue, sorry, it's revenue. Not. The other way is a flat fee. So if you have a sport for 5 hours and it's $50 an hour, you pay $250. That's that's what it is. And then the other piece that got into it and made it a bit more hairy is the difference between an LLC and S corp in one bucket and non-for-profit in another. Because you do have some groups that everything is volunteer, it's a volunteer board, the groups are going out fundraising all the money that they have. And you have other that's our livelihood. So we're also looking at what that would be. Kind of like we put in this bucket, and we dumped the bucket, we separated it into two. So that kind of catches you up a little bit on where we are for that part of it. So this is determining what we want to do for fees. Also in the last meeting, you'll see this one, this is the 2003 rec programs that we have, and it was voted on what designation they got based on the definition. So we went through, marked all those, and so you'll have that to go. What else have we given to Mike, just to clarify for numbers?
Get
today?
your exchange.
Oh, this is.
I gave them all the run rates today. You're good, you're good. So today I sent them all the run rates, so if you have an idea of what we're looking at, and I did a 10%. Like I had talked about, that you guys had talked about, we went to cover 10% of the operating fees. And Mike did, and I asked Mike, I said, hey, do we want to count the reserve fund, the basic fund, because they are using our. So I do have two different numbers of what those 10% would be. One would be strictly based on operating costs. One would be based on operating and reserve costs. So since they are using our facilities, I personally agree with myself, they need to help pay to.
Can you define what you mean by reserve funds versus just operating costs?
So we have a reserve fund and we are required to put X number of dollars in a reserve fund. We every 3 years have a reserve study done, so for ours next year, but that's how we base how much money goes into the facilities fund for us to do replacement items. This is not new items. This is the pool that needs replaced, your pool umbrellas need in place. It gives us a guideline of when that needs to be done, what the expected cost is, so that we know what we need to put in the budget for your assessments each year. Operating cost is solely what it takes to run that. Electric, water, staffing, any additional supplies that are needed for that. So that is just what do we need day to day to make that average. So each facility, I have a full report that tells me what that number is. And that's what it takes into account just for operating. The report I can print it or what else you guys. Also, I included the reserve expenses in there just so that you can.
So is there any assumed repairs in the operating fund or that's all from reserve?
No, there's like general maintenance and upkeep, so a trash can breaks, that might not be something I pay for reserves, but I'm gonna pay for it from our maintenance budget and operating fund, so that is also included in here. If I need to paint your trash cans, if I need to buy your janitorial supplies for keeping the cleanliness and things, car, things like that, for day-to-day wear and tear, that's gonna come from operating.
No unforeseen things.
Correct.
So let me let the two new members know. From our understanding, the previous rate, which I shared with Amy and Marco just now, have not been changed for about 12 years. So no adjustment for inflation.
Okay.
These changes are trying to catch up.
All right, so I'm gonna start the discussion with partner program groups of what we're looking for rates. And kind of doing a little brainstorming homework on my own. One of the thoughts that I came up with is if your taxes say you made $1,000 or revenue was $1,000. Then annually, we would ask for those forms. And then annually, we would say, okay, we get $200 because it's 20%. And then we would take that $200 and divide it by 12 months and say to that program, you owe us this amount each month for the next 12 months. Then when it comes up again, we would ask for new forms and reassess at that time. Two things. One, that keeps the math simple. Two, it takes away from the amount of accounting that we're asking grant mayors to do. Three, as a business owner, club representative, I know what I have coming up for that year. I know how to budget my company. I feel like we're being fair to them in that route. And that was one of the things that I wanted to propose. And that's just me going to poke holes in it. But those were the thinking behind it. Then once we do that, we would need to look into, okay, what if you're a 501c3 and I don't show any money, then how do we do those? Which would be different. I also think that it helps. We have a couple programs that I'm not exactly sure how legit business versus mom and pop is. And we kind of go back on some of that. Like, should they really be a partner program or should they be more of a club? We have some organizations that are only renting space like 2 hours. And that's taking away from us bringing in bigger organizations to provide more to our residents. So do we need to have a minimum of what you would turn in financially in order to be considered a partner program as well? So that we can do it that way, and maybe you're more appropriate as a club. That's one way. Another way is saying, okay, we have partner programs, but we have 2 sections of it, 4 hours and less, 5 hours and more. That to me keeps it from being simple. I'm trying to keep it as simple for all of us, but I'm gonna use that as a foundation jumping off base. And that would be whether you are indoor or outdoor, correct? Correct. Okay. So it would be the same across the board. So I'm gonna throw that out there. I'm gonna ask Mike to go first, actually, the chat spot, and poke holes into it. And then we can kind of hopefully fill them in.
I don't know, poke holes and make some comments.
Yeah.
I think it's a right idea to try to take a percentage of revenue. And 501c3 does report revenue.
Okay.
So under 990, there will be a revenue line, so you get that. So it's like a P&L just for a nonprofit. The file goes with the tax department and everything. So
Awesome.
you get revenue there. Question first. Do all partner programs operate as a percentage of revenue or are some on a flat rate renting space?
Currently, it's a mix.
That's
So
what I thought.
for instance, tennis is a flat rate, swimming is a flat rate, and soccer is a flat rate.
So I think a threshold question up front, do you want to convert them all to a percentage of revenue or are you going to have this mixed bag?
That's one of the things we
Are
have.
there flat rates based off of previous percentages? That's
Yeah,
so
so,
it's essentially like Victoria's saying right now.
correct. So what we did is, that was a discussion, you were in Victoria and Clint. We took the average of 2002, or sorry, 2000. I apologize. Sorry, 2022, took the average, and then we increased it by 9.9%. And then that was a flat rate.
Essentially, they need to get by every 4 HOA assessments. It's not even saying.
Okay, that's what I.
I mean, flat rate obviously makes it much simpler. Everyone's there, right? Revenues, and you don't want to accuse anyone, but you don't really know the revenues. Then we actually checking their revenues. We're just taking their word.
It comes from taxes. From your taxes
But
document.
then actually submit those and look here. Does anyone actually?
No, that's exactly what we've been doing before. We have to have a tax document for. Otherwise, I can say I made $2.
Right.
Right, so if there's a tax document, then that's where we pull that number from. Well, that's, at some point, that's between them and their conscience and all of that. But if it's good enough for the government, the state's good enough.
Wouldn't the flat be just so much easier? What's the negative of flat? Because it's flat.
We did a pro and con list, did you?
Let me, I can.
Yeah.
Because I think this was something we talked about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was. What you've got now is you're a landlord for the most part when you're going flat rate, you just rented space. Okay, so I don't consider that to be a apartment program. That's really a flat rate, so you're just renting space or something, right? But if you want a partner program, that's really a relationship you have with that entity. It really enters into if you do better, I do better. I'm taking 20% of your revenue or whatever number you want to decide on. That's more of a partner program. So I see them as different. Right now, you've got the mixed bag, but if you really want pure partner programs in the business world or in finance, you know, it's going to be a relationship that affects the income. Takes a percentage of the income. Otherwise, you're a landlord. You're saying you can rent the tennis courts for $50 or $50 an hour, something like that. So I don't know if that clears it up and you want to get them all the percentage or not, or you want to stay in a mixed bag. I don't know what your desire is.
I agree with that, but it obviously is simpler to have flat fee, right?
That's why we changed to some flat rates last 2 years ago or whatever. They felt the accounting and stuff out. I didn't quite understand the complexity of it at that point in time, but
Yeah, it's,
that's where the group went at that point.
When we say flat rate, are we saying they just pay the facility fee? Flat rate?
It was given its own rate. It had nothing to do with fees. So it was, again, the percentage of what they had and then increased, and then that's what the rate came from.
So, basically, it's the same thing as 20% revenue, but it's just they pay installments.
It's just consistent and then if you do better this year, then you pay more next year.
And if you do worse this year, that's not a flat.
Yeah, because it's 20, if it's based on percentage, it's reassessed annually, because it's still 20%. So that's where you get the revenue sharing and partner program instead of just this is what your lease is.
Thing. To your email, John had emailed me saying, how does a group, you know, if a group doesn't want to be a civic group, they want to club now, so that their priority would change. I think it would be that annual assessment, like we, you know, if you're a partner program and you're going to go up or down accordingly, then that's when that annual assessment comes in. And then that's up to the recreation committee at that time to help designate what they are based on what's presented at that time. And that gives us an annual review kind of over everybody, whether you're a partner program, whether you're a club or anything. And it's also a good time for the recreation committee to review the value of this program and what it brings to the community. If they haven't been paying their monthly fees, it's a really good time to address that if we want to do it the next year. If, you know, something happened, you know, I'll use tennis because we had an insane amount of hurricanes. They didn't make any revenue for 2 straight months, pretty much. Then we're able to help them out accordingly when we reassess that the next year and look into the numbers. So I just think that annual review, I think, is good for the town. That's a lot of work on the rec committee every year. We're kind of setting the foundation for what that would look like year over year because of it.
I look for that as like doing things less work.
Right.
What we've done for the last few years.
So the past couple of years, a group has come in and done an RFP. They did a presentation. They showed us their numbers. They basically came and said, we're so amazing, you'd be an idiot not to pick us, type of mentality, right? But I was not a fan of it because it was that partner program having to really showcase themselves. And it was never us as a rec committee saying, how do we partner with you? Because partner works 2 ways. And for them, everything was, you know, we need, you know, we'll do this for you, we'll do this for you, this for you. We never said anything that we would do for them. There was never a conversation between us and them of what do you need? How can we help more? Maybe we can't do everything they want, but we need to give them a chance to say what they need. And we need to be given a chance to help them with as being a partner. So again, that's part of my philosophy on why I think this annual thing would be good. And then it's kind of a flat rate, it's kind of not a flat rate, but it's a percentage of it that gives us a chance to grow.
But if you start there, yes, I think that's the foundation for it. It's just a matter of when you pay in installments. You solve the same thing. The ones you converted to fixed fee 2 years ago or whatever, did you ever change those or reassess them?
Here, there'll be some paperwork, right?
They do, yeah. So.
Did you look at the revenue the next year and change it then?
Well, we started, soccer, Marco started his contract in February of this year. Your monthly rate. Tennis was March and so is cycle, so it'll be at the end of this year. We would assess it.
Real quick, one question. What if we just standardize and all reset July or something? Kind of grandfather until like one day is when we set it instead of it's all different months.
I agree. So in a perfect world, my initial thought was we grandfather it in for the rest of this year. And then Pro would at least know what the budget is going to be. And that would also let each organization know May 1st, May 1st, when you do your taxes for what you buy for 2030. And then that would be able for us to review in June. Question July, have it to the finance committee by August, plenty of time for them to get to Pro for the following.
Would it be possible to do a flat rate and then evaluate at the end of the year if they owe us more? So kind of like you get paid salary and get bonus, because there's occupying the space regardless, and we should be getting that.
I don't think we can look at it.
But that's like this 80-20 split is saying. You're gonna pay me X number of dollars every month, regardless of if you're using the space or not. Now, there's an actual disaster to be taken. Sorry, that's right. So every month, you're paying for the space, whether you have, 8 people or 20 people, and then next year it's gonna be reflected on, you're gonna pay us.
So that if they went up during that year, then reflecting into next year, basically. So you're still paying 20%.
So when you're,
When you get it.
Is it really profitable doing this 20% installment, considering all that you do?
I think the thinking, because I came in just like you, thinking profit. But really, there is how much of this is providing service to the community versus making a profit on it. So there's the run expenses, as they were talking earlier. We need to see what we can help with that. But it's not, PROA does not view it as a revenue supply to the community. They view it as a amenity more to the community, that you have HOA looking over to make sure we're giving you a solid program, with solid people that have background checks, that would be for multiple ages. We do take some revenue, but not necessarily profit.
To that point, I think you should define a base, like a minimum. That
Yes.
is,
Yes,
to qualify, otherwise it can go down to clubs.
absolutely. Absolutely.
That's where one makes it come into help, right? Help establish a minimum.
Right, so let's see, Lakeside here. The run rate for that one is $28,829.84. So your goal, in theory, with your partner programs is to cover that 10%. Everything else on top of that is icing cake for us, and that's what we can look to fill into it. Your clubs or your, the junctions available. This, I will tell you, is covered by times and swimming. They don't even touch the gym. So anything in addition that we give for the juncture is just above and beyond what the expectation.
So that's where a lot of this comes in for the rest of the conference.
So maybe like 120 annual minimum, we have to have everybody or something, or even higher. Just like a minimum qualified for partner program status here.
Mine was just one combination.
I mean, yeah, based off the location and what the run rate is. So town halls cost is much higher than anything else. They have, theirs is almost $40,000. So I want to get as many programs as I can in there to make as much as I can, because it costs me to run that. So like, let's say you get 10 partner program applications. You look at all of them and say, this would use this space, this one, this space, these two could go with this space, and that's going to help cover this interest. It's going to pay you what you're, or was to get those applications to do. If you don't have enough, that's when we say, okay, $8 a week, we give you $50. The minimum threshold is 120, so no matter what, 20 regardless of the. But that's when you kind of get away from a partner program. You have alternative funding. That's when it just becomes.
So, and I agree, that we need to obviously cover the rate, but I'm saying is to qualify under the rule, they have to at least contribute a certain threshold to be qualified.
That's them to qualify to a partner program. Absolutely agree. But you do have to take into consideration.
Sure.
So it's not just black and white. Where can I get money from? And then put the pieces together. It's like a little.
I think the other thing too, just like we did when we looked at resident, non-resident, needs to include any setup times. So if I am running a dance class from 7 to 8, but I need to come in at 30 to get everything going, and I know I'm really not going to clean up until 7:30 or 8:30 afterwards, then that's going to be that amount of time, not just the hour of 7 to 8. Currently, we're not doing that with partner programs. Again, there's inconsistency. We got with some, not with others. So I just want to be consistent. But my thought is if you are in the room and you want that room reserved for you at that time, that's the hour that it starts, the time that it starts. So we can look at that. So if we went this 80-20 route, and what's the next step? What do you need from us? What do you need from us? So that we're looking.
I don't think we need a lot. I think John was talking about the threshold, some minimum. I would take your partner programs right now and list them.
Okay.
And then just rank them from top to bottom, see what kind of universe they cover. And I think you'll probably find a natural break point where maybe it's just under your lowest one, we establish it there.
Okay.
Because you're all ongoing programs, that's probably where you can find your number, your threshold. Establish that threshold.
Okay.
Trying to cover the 10% is, Amy was talking about. It's a combination of, rate and frequency,
Yes.
right? So you don't have a lot of control over that. Certainly Grand Manners can try to market these spaces and so on. I think it's a number you track. I don't think you necessarily get too hung up on. If you're going to use 20%, the 20% share, then make that your approach and then track how that's working with each one of the assets. And then you might find other strategies that you look at. And then Grand Manners could decide, well, we need more, as Amy was saying, at 851 because we've got this operating cost there, we go out and market more space there, or whatever it is.
Right.
But you can't control that 10% outcome necessarily. You can decide the next year to raise it to 30% or something, and you can affect it like that. I don't think any of you are going to go out and start to find users for buildings on rent space. I mean, so it's a combination of frequency of use and the rate that you establish.
Okay, well, let's start with the partner program. The first, I'm going off of this page. So everybody comes in with me. The first one is X Factor Dance, which there's a difference between previous and this year. Based as knowing that 851 was going to be going under a serious renovation eventually, they needed to find an additional space. So
I'm obviously not involved in any of it. That's that, just putting that out there. You got a question? Happy to answer them, so I don't feel like I should even be part of this.
So should I? We're starting with hard, we're very good at doing that. With X Factor, do I look at previous? Or do I look at this year? Are you talking about me? Just amount of use, correct? Amount of hours that they're using that space is what we're starting.
I thought they were on rate, and everything. Everyone converts to a.
Yeah.
As of right, well, as of June, I think we're not even using space right now because of it.
You're outside.
But up until then, we were at 20%. And I will say, my contract was written so that it was 20% of all of the tuition charged for our pro facility classes. Because I teach some classes at Creation Village. I don't teach some classes
Yeah.
at the Foreign Language Merchant School. But I have a accounting software that I can run reports, and I would do that monthly and then here's the tuition we brought in for all of our classes on pro property. Total from this, here's my 20%, I paid out at 15th of the month. So August 15th, I would pay 20% of whatever revenue I brought in. So that's how I've been doing it. Moving forward, but a lot of people don't have that accounting software.
I think you should focus on revenue as opposed to hours
Okay.
and time,
Let's do it.
because that gets us, that's kind of mechanical. You know,
Okay.
the outcome of the partnership is really help us split up. So that's what you said. You should do.
So, I guess, going forward, would we give them the option to do just the previous month, or would we, just go on installments based on the previous year's IRS return?
Yes, to both for grandfathering and for now. And then in May of 23, that's when we would start the process based on IRS revenue. Or 24, not next year. Then we'll do that. So yes to both.
But we can't determine her breakdown of her tax return because she's. assigned to
She's not in this year. It would be.
But because she's renting, I know what you're saying, because she's rents other spaces, it's so different, reported on. tax return, It's not, she will be charged. So if then she should be able to provide the agency, that's supposed to be the breakout of here's the uses over. Here's the use.
I can show you based off of the classes I have in Stetson, because that would essentially be the two studios, we're renting space in Stetson for two dance studios, so I can show you. This is the tuition I brought in for this location, which used to be the pro location. And it's now my 800 celebration application, and it separates out from my other locations.
So the company like that, you can just ask for supporting that.
It's a lot easier with time.
Aren't there gonna be a lot of in that situation? A lot of people that have, classes and. things
Yeah.
going on.
I mean, if you think of tennis, he has a high school.
They're all, most
So
of them.
that's right. Yeah,
It's not making a living just for the
so
celebration.
you don't have supporting documents.
So it's
But
actually.
there's a starting number, I mean. At some point, if this number is 1,000, if you're going, oh, we only need $10 with. Proa, then we at least have something to start questioning. We just need to have some numbers to start somewhere.
I mean, I can ask them to come in and back up everything, make statements, but I'm kind of the anomaly because my program is really big and this is my life.
Right.
So I'm not wanting to throw
Yeah,
many comes in once a week, twice a week to do a Zumba class, it's fun. That's not on my.
And perhaps those programs need to get on board, so to speak.
I think it all depends on how, like, this is why we're doing this framework. I get so frustrated because one year the board seemed to want more long talks, less structured, like they felt like even we were taking too much space or stuff like that. The next year they wanted more business oriented programs. So we're trying to collaborate and create a framework so that it's consistent regardless of what the board is even set the expectations. That's where a lot of.
I have one more suggestion. So obviously the pandemic was a big hit to a lot of programs. So if we're gonna look at a previous year's rate, I suggest we either average 2022 to 2019, or we look at 2019 if they're old enough.
I think for this, we're just gonna look at 22, and then next year, we're just gonna look at 23. Because then the pandemic's out of it, and it's a fair assessment of what your business is doing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so. X Factor Dance revenue. We're gonna do based off of 2022 in this case. No, you're good.
Okay, so for 2022, I started the dance brought in $20,239.84.
Little Tunes is brand new, so we have nothing for them right now.
We don't have
zero.
So I
We
think
just voted on Little Tunes. Summer, July, August. This is, in our outdoor spaces currently, they want to come into indoor where it's like mommy and me, different days, sing along. Type of thing.
I think based on her position, they probably got a max revenue of 5,000.
Yeah.
Because they had to 25 per person, 10 person per class, and 2 a week.
And that's their overall revenue. This is the revenue that's being paid to. Okay,
So there'll be about 5,000. I could be wrong, but it's just a guess.
right. Irish Dance,
$8,691.60.
All our dance,
$2,053.60.
Zumba,
$673.20.
Family Fitness,
$1,221.20.
and I'm gonna put an asterisk just for my knowledge, Family Fitness is outdoor space. Little Tunes will be outdoor space for now. So far, X Factor, Irish Ballroom, and Zumba is all indoor. Aqua Yoga will be
Outdoor yoga is outdoor, it's $1,550.
okay. Celebration Cyclones,
$8,803. Those are both outdoor. Outdoor.
What was that, 3,000?
$8,000. Celebration Yoga,
$430.
also outdoor or indoor? Indoor, okay.
That's actually.
2022, yeah, 2 months, she knows, yeah.
$30.
For the 2,000.
This is when you paid us.
This is my favorite.
This is
Oh,
their, this is
it's not-
when we paid to do that.
It's Lucid.
Little Things,
Sorry.
Little things. Excuse syllables.
This is all-
$809.
and outdoor again, correct. Advantage Tennis,
$7,061.95. That was all the way until June. And then they switched from August through December to hourly rate. It's in our regular system. So that's only half a year.
so that's 7,000 based on 6 months.
Correct.
So for now, we could times 2 just for good measure.
Now, would we allow hourly rate going forward? Or we, make everyone wait 3%?
I think that's what we're trying to determine, because there's someone with monthly, hourly, 20%, $10 participant. We're just trying to get it fair across the board.
Right now, we're proposing the 80/20, subject to change, but that's the road we're going down. So that brings Advantage Tennis to $14,123.90. And that's an outdoor. Celebration Dog Training,
$977.20.
outdoor as well.
Correct.
Celebration Farmers Market,
$20,980.40.
That was 40.
20,000. That was also the relocation year. I paid rent 3 other places. Just saying.
Celebration Soccer Club,
Theirs I have in Rec Pro, so I'll pull up that system.
okay. Little League,
Little League's there also in.
Flag Football,
Rec Pro as well.
AAU is a new program. So that's 0. Lacrosse,
Across, they were in Rec Pro as well.
Would you say, Nikki, there was what? Rec-
I'm sorry, Rec Pro.
Rec-
I have a different spreadsheet.
Software.
Right.
Cassidy Sports,
Actually, Sports is also.
all of those are outdoor. So I'm gonna start, I guess it doesn't matter indoor, outdoor, does it? Like, is there something I haven't seen? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It is a project.
I mean, I imagine the cost is probably good for us, fun to look into.
Plus, minimums from number. So,
Yeah, that's what the minimums.
I have a suggestion,
please,
whether they're outdoor, or indoor, they're using our assets. So I treat it the same.
right?
You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that fall below $2,000. I think I put a floor in $2,000. With the other people, some other categories that are programs, simple fun. Get 5 out of this.
Thoughts? I think it's 10. It's a plus 5 years ago. I think it's 2, that's all.
I could see 1,000, but 2,000 sounds good as well.
I think if we did 1,000, we're only looking at 3 programs, where 4 programs, excuse me.
You've really got a natural break. The ballroom dance is at 2,053.
Yeah,
And then the next highest one is next lowest one. Is $8,000, $7,000,
yeah, it's.
no, 8,000. There's a real natural break there. To
Yeah.
They call 2,500.
It's like about-
The natural break for them.
So you said 2,500 or 2,000?
2,500. Just because, like you said, it's the natural break there. And again, this is, we're focusing on, this is guaranteed space in priority time after time after time. So the Brett gave earlier, that's taking that away from president, right? So you really need to have something there. And
So would you move those people then to a club status? Is that what the thought is?
yeah, I would say that under requirements, under definition of community groups, we would put in a require that you would have a minimum of 2,500. So your definition may fall under partner program, but you don't meet the requirements, so you go down a level.
What if you wanted to pay that regardless of what you bring in, then you just stay as part of the program?
Yeah,
Sure. They accept grants. Yeah.
I just wanted to put it out there. Doesn't impact me, but I felt like it would have been brought up at some point.
Someone's gonna bring up, well, what if this? If I give you this, can I see where I am?
$2,500. Pay to play.
Exactly.
Or 2,400 if it even 200. Instead of 25.
But what's the benefit for them? It's just status in terms of priority.
Getting space.
System.
Is that a real problem for them at this point?
There's
No,
not.
it's-
Where I think it's something where there's not enough space to go around for all the groups that are wanting it. So it's priority
So
is going to be sought after.
technically, it'd be a rational number of 2,500. They have to like do every 2 months.
The only big thought is the whole party program versus club of the priority thing. So we get into the issue you have with tents. You know, with the celebration residents who like they're being pushed out, there's other people coming, making money with our amenities.
That's where I think we have in the definition and the guidelines of how many hours you get for free and then you need to start paying. Rates, like that was something we talked about in the last meeting, right?
I would do it with this. You would get, don't you just get
I think
2
right now
hours
it's
for
is it 2 hours a month.
better. Then after that, the extra payments club.
So the tennis club, they're paying.
They aren't now, but it would change. They get 2 hours free.
Right, but it's still, okay, it's regardless of that, if they're paying or not paying, it's still, should an outside organization get priority, regardless of the money of someone inside? I think that's the issue that I hear from everybody. That's the issue they have. The issue you brought up tonight is what every time I talk to, that's the issue. Why are outsiders using stuff when I can't?
So to your comment, you're saying resident club versus non-resident club? Yeah, I think that's, yeah.
That's a,
Well, and that can be in the contract too, because my contract has a percentage of how many residents versus non-residents, but right now, a lot of these clubs don't have contracts, so there's nothing to hold them to.
Which they would.
So
But even-
with this going forward, if they can't show their roster and prove IDs and addresses, then that means they lose club status.
The only one that changes for is, if you're not a resident, you're a CK8 student. Because we have so many students that live on 192, we want to for them to.
it's similar.
It was, if you go to school, it would be more.
Yeah.
But then it's like, even to use the tennis example again.
Yeah.
So a resident brings 3 out of 10 guests to the play. He sounded like he didn't want any out of town. They were taking his spot. That I knew these people that used to live here and don't live here anymore, they're playing. They might be playing with one person that's a resident. I don't know, I just think it's a tough thing to manage.
Well, technically, I can, if I have people from out of town, I can get up to 3 with my pass. That's the current right. And that was something the special events team was addressing at one point of what does that number look like? Because now we have so many more residents.
But
But what about designating resident course and resident and non, resident with guests? Oh, I know, if it's somebody needs to be
the
more.
hard thing, and again, is to manage this, like if you go to a golf course, you can only have a certain guest a couple times a year, because they don't want you, one guy paying the entry fee and everyone else riding it. So like, who would manage how often somebody, so there's a set force in everyday play, but if one's a resident, I don't know.
Right now, that's true.
I'm just thinking
That's
out loud.
100% true. But to your point,
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's what we were really big, that their software system is gonna have the booking, so you can book the course before
Yeah.
you show up.
Yeah.
And then you have to pay.
I'm coming with them, yes.
So that,
Most partner programs have different rates for residents.
they will, that's where the 80-20%.
Okay.
So if you're a partner program, that's where your rate will be based.
I mean, the partner program, their program, when they're selling it, say I own the tenants, or whatever, and I'm selling it to residents. But the residents pay me a rate and the non-residents pay me a rate, this, we just put into the contract. That they charge outside users a higher, like it's like double even because it's such a reasonable rate to begin with. So that would boost their revenue, they would have to owe us more, and that's piping in from outside.
I have to residents on foot.
Yeah, but we should put it in contract for every.
I know it's in my contract. I don't know, but again, a lot of these people don't currently have contracts. So this is the type of.
That
thing
not residents anymore,
That you can only have so many.
what do they pay for?
Yeah, not consistently across the board.
So I think you mentioned before that you had to have at least over 50% resident to qualify.
It's.
Mine
It's 50% resident.
That should be nothing from the rule, especially the club. Because then make sure that the club that's 90% non-residents, it's priority over a celebration resident.
You were gonna make a comment.
Yeah, the other conversation, I think it should be in the contracts that they have to have included resident, non-resident people. And we should be able to have input of, so I think that helps with the outside people coming in. Should be having about this, so. And then I think in terms of priority, yeah, you have to retain the right to put a schedule together for our assets. People are going to use, whether they're a partner program or anybody else. So there, the tennis thing, it's the controversy. You have to, and I think you lowered the access that he had a number of days recently. But you need to say, those, he's going to get these days, the clubs are going to get these. Club baby is a different rate because they're local and everywhere else, but you're still going to control the access to that. Darren can't say, well, I want to trump the club, take them all because I'm a different project. Yeah.
No, you would still have, no, I agree with that.
You've got to control access.
Is that in his contract? I feel like we talked about that last year, what his exact set days and works and times are as part of his rate.
They are, it's specifically Tuesdays and Thursdays. He can only do, 3 courts in the evening for children's lessons. It was morning
And the rest of the time, he's
Morning was not addressed. He can have 2 courts at all times. That's what the agreement was, with the exception of Tuesdays and Thursday evenings. He can have 3 courts to have your children.
so it's like.
So here, well, we don't monitor,
That's-
we don't monitor these working,
Yeah.
rest of celebration residents or not, we don't do that.
I mean, we ask for monthly rosters.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't monitor.
Most, all partner programs
All
do
partner
have to.
programs have monthly roster. We just don't ask for extended
close.
service groups.
That's the difference too.
So I think you need to be careful about the priority. It only comes into play when there's a tie. You need to do something because there's an open situation and both parties want it. And then maybe you give the nod to somebody as priority. But otherwise it follows the structure you put
Schedule.
together, schedule. So
And that's
priorities,
what we've been doing.
okay, that just enters in the tiebreaker, so to speak.
Yeah. I think the priorities came. Darren would get to pick if he wanted Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday before the club got to pick. In that case, so. He would get the priority that day to pick when he wants his 10 hours, so to say, and then the club gets to pick second. Based on the amount of money. Okay. Okay, so. This is partner program right now. The notes that I have is 2,500 minimum or more to move to the club, and this is annually. And then resident versus non-resident rate should apply. Then you just call it a resident discount. And do it that way. Saying that school records also count the same as a property address. And this is for owner and renter.
I think someone mentioned they should be like, we should have an input on how much of a discount they get the residents. Is that someone you could have?
Determine, we have a percent determining the differential between resident and non-resident. We just put like this, that percentage across the board, so it's not something we have to be micromanage.
Marco, do you have a resident, non-resident?
Yes.
What do you don't have to answer. Do you have a percentage off?
Yes, I believe 75, depending the program. The adults program 75% resident, 25% non-resident. The Orlando City Soccer is 6% resident. And the late soccer is 50-50. Moms and daughters is almost 100% of residents. The only program that is not 100% resident is the Disney Saturdays morning. We have like 30% resident. The other is Disney wide, and we open the fields for them.
Right.
Welcome. So together.
And does the resident get a lower rate than the non-resident right now for tuition?
For the resident, we ask for $5 to play or $8 depending on the day. But if you have joy and you want to play, just don't pay. It's okay.
And
The best part for us is that we are there to take care of you, to have a meeting.
yeah,
Welcome
yeah.
everybody who show up.
Yeah.
Anybody show up there, we feel prepared to play Monday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay.
No matter what.
But what about the ones that pay when, like your programs that are charging tuition? Like you have teams and stuff where you pay and play, that's why, that's how you pay your monthly rate.
I
How do
pay
you-
$5,000 with flat rate, so have the space for that. And these are conference days, and we don't charge teams to compete, like, idea is a field supervisor play, it's welcome to come play, but
Yeah, but if they're on your team, like where do you get the money to pay the $5,000 a month?
so the Orlando is very profitable.
Yes, but that's what we're asking you, how you charge them.
2020, but usually I put from my pocket something, because it's something I want, it's my desire to make it happen. Then we have Orlando City Soccer School there, it's very profitable, so my part is covering most of the costs. And we have enough to pay the fees. We always have some sponsors, local sponsors to help us at the end of the year. Like The South Carolina Rhinos help us directly. We have the Winter Malek, we have the media, they are always forward on the Boston. And we have enough money to pay. Our budget is very easy. Our budget is like, need to pay 6,000 per year, we have 6,000. We always 1 year before. We always prepare for that. So I will never sign any contract with you if I don't have the research paid. So this is something that I.
But what we're gonna see is if my child plays competitive for you,
Yes,
it's my fee $500, but Lindsay doesn't live here and her child plays for you. Is her fee $600 or is our fee the same to play for you?
no, the resident have a different price for the.
Okay. And is that about 10%,
It's up
20%,
20%.
20%?
Depends the code, like this, the,
Sure.
don't see soccer is 20%, the right league is 30%, play to play is like 40%. Depending to the program you have.
What is yours?
Like,
We have a discount on the registration fee, so we don't have a discount right now in social.
it's 129 for the residents, monthly, and the day. For the.
50%
Yeah, I talked about the city,
outside.
the kids,
Right.
for the part, the rec, the.
Well, the kids are different. Because they're still same for
I
you.
think you need to be careful that you don't try to dictate too much here on this particular item, because it's a individual's business.
Yeah.
They should be able to set their own pricing. I think you just have to tell them you want a discount in their economic model for residents. And then each one you'll review with them and see, it might be 10, it might be 20, whatever it is. But I just think you want to tell them as a requirement of the contract, be part of the program, you have to have a resident discount.
Say for me, we came up with the registration fee because with my software and the way that we charge tuition due to graduated sales, the more classes you take, it discounts. And we do that for all of our locations. If you take it to school, but you also take it here, your price is lower than if you just took 2 separate hours. So there was no way for me with that software to add another discount for residents. So that's why we did it off of the registration fee.
It's the same of,
Flat, it was the discount right off the bat.
the same of the user, use the demonstrate platform, it's out there. The website, when Nikki asks us to the address or something like that, just print. So it's a demonstrate, the same Orlando City soccer club, the Orlando City mini club use, we are required to use that. It's very easy, the platform, not for the adults, but for the age.
Sure.
And I will say it's in my contract that we submit, I submit my rosters that show everyone's address and I update for them monthly when it changes, but that's part of the requirements of my contract.
It's easy for us.
Better way to say it maybe is not that we want a discount for residents, but we'd like you to have 2-tier pricing. So it'd be 2-tier pricing, one price for residents, and one price for in your contract, your proposal.
It probably doesn't seem to lie with the children's programs, it seems to lie with the adult programs, so maybe we can require it for the adult programs as opposed to the kids programs with our enriching. The youth.
It almost seems like it's more club-based than person program-based.
Yeah.
Oh, the tennis, for example.
Yes, but that's the their club, yeah.
Is that the club or it's?
There's one of each.
Yeah. So,
I come back to one thing I'm going to say way too much, because I just want it to be consistent.
yeah,
And so whatever we're doing, I do feel like we're doing it, kids, we do it for adults. If we're requiring a partner, we require a club, we just need to do. And there will be some requirement differences between partner and club, just based on how they're built, there should be. We're charging differently, so yeah. Okay. So those are the two for partner program. Let's talk about requirements for club and go down that rabbit hole. Because to your point, I think this is where it's a little bit abused. So, the club, we definitely need to say, percentage of resident versus non-resident. Is what we have for partner program as well.
That be in the requirements, or, definition?
It's gonna be in the contract, so I think requirement. Um. John, I'm thinking about your comment about what's the difference with partner programs, we gotta have a minimum. With work club, I feel like we have to have a maximum of what they can have. Right? Okay. A maximum, so if I'm a club, I can't have 3 hours a room for 7 days a week for 5 hours a day. There's a maximum of what I can have. Where with partner program, we're like, we have to at least spend this much. So it's kind of almost the difference of the two. Nikki, do you have any comments?
Can you go by like just like the number of hours? Can you see the maximum number of hours of club? And have it per month?
Where do I pull that number from? Like, I like your thinking, but I feel like I'm pulling it out of the air.
So like Little League in the club, I'm trying to use a lot.
Little League will do the partner program, because they spend,
Little League Erin, which is 2,500.
there we go.
Just made it.
Cross, under those numbers as well, $800, so there would be,
How many hours is the process?
right now, once a week for 2 hours.
So about 8 hours.
What about like football?
Flag football, $2,911.20. And then, Marco for 2022, $46,677.
Okay.
Thank you.
SB Sports? That's all
My
I
bad.
got. No. Okay. So that makes lacrosse a club now. Dog training a club now. Little Fins a club now. Yoga a club. Aqua yoga club. And fitness club. Zumba club. Ballroom dance club.
So, Littleton's community club, we don't have any data. Because they have a potential of about 5,000.
We think that's right, because that would also apply to the AA, if you're brand new, so in this case of Little Fins and AAU. No data, you're a club, so you can promote the partner program.
Sure.
That's fair. Yeah, I did for Cassie Sports, $760.
Okay, so they would go to club. So let's put that on here.
But are we giving them the option to pay the 2,500 per year to become a partner pool, or should they a partner for next year? Or
Is there a
just
new program you're saying?
the old program as well?
Yeah, everybody would have the option to pay the minimum.
So I'm afraid that we get reflect directly for the members or the players or the dancers. If they are playing like 1,500 and goes with 2,500, can affect the residents or the members rate. Like if I'm paying $100 to play soccer per year, and you pay like right now, $180 or $200 to play because the celebration with my rate.
That's up to them on how they run their business. It would be the owner's decision whether that brings enough value to their business to pay it or not. And then they would have to explain that as if they wanted to, it's their business to their tenant.
You have a chance to, of course, review their routines.
Right. Okay, so the new program starts at the club, then can promote to partner program. That's one thing. And any club can pay 2,500 minimum for partner program designation. That being said, I don't think I could look at one of them in the eye and say, this is where your money. As a business, but that's their decision, that's their business. decision. Okay. Then at this point, and we will officially vote on this at the next meeting, because it's considered more of a workshop than a meeting. We will officially vote the 80-20 to start submissions in May of 2024, with finalization to the finance committee by August of 2024. So that you guys have enough time. So that will be an official vote next meeting. What else am I missing that I gotta do?
Sorry, you asked.
Nothing, I don't think, unless you have any questions, I think I'm gonna leave.
Questions for you guys?
So here in your email, you mentioned you gave us a association appropriating definition. I'm curious what you were going to request.
Say that.
In your email, and you have it here. You have
Yes.
the association
Oh,
program.
the civic and service one.
No. And community, Celebration Government and Community Association.
Okay,
So what would your community association do that grow?
that's it.
Umbrella, maybe committee meetings.
Anybody with an alternate.
Okay, great.
Real quick. For the partner programs, are you discussing the nonprofit? Because I know previously discussed, is it $15 per participant? There's a nonprofit.
We did have a discussion that he said on their 501c3, it has a profit line too,
Okay.
a revenue line. Sorry.
Revenue line,
Revenue line. So, yeah.
has a profit and loss, but it should be close to zero, so.
Right, so then we would base it from that.
Okay.
So it's held to the same criteria. The government holds a different criteria. That's basically where it's coming from.
It's called a 990.
Yeah.
And if you look up any nonprofit, go to our website, you can look at something's like that. It's free access, you don't have to ask them for it, pull it up.
Just as 501c.
And that's,
It's
that's just on the revenue or?
Well, it's a complete P and L, so it starts with revenue. It's kind of goofy because it's a non.
Partners are gonna get
Take you all the way to the top.
It's really based on the revenue.
Yes, revenue.
Did we give
Just add some grace.
nonprofits like a discount, maybe 15% instead of 20%?
I want to keep it consistent.
Right.
She just brought up on, under requirements for partner program and club, currently says 501c. We want to make sure that says 501c3. Because that's different than a 501c4 register. Okay. Now, to your point, John, there may come where we see all those in front of us and we may have to pivot. When everybody comes to us and they're only showing $20 profit or revenue, whatever it is, then we may have to pivot. But for now, we're gonna keep it the same till we learn. And then when we learn, we'll get back.
But at least we can train for it, like, yeah, that's, I think that's the biggest thing, is it's just so much. Things take time to do.
Well, and this is.
I'm very sorry.
My thing.
Appreciate it.
I hope it made it easier for you guys.
I think you made a lot of progress. I think you're getting it organized and they're trying to make, sense of chaos.
Organized, yeah.
So non-management over the years and we'll catch it up, so it's good.
Good job.
Real quick, so you, did the proposed changes that, I guess the approved changes that rates we suggested, does that help us bring closer to breaking even what we passed even?
You'll never break even. I think I'll be very honest, you'll never break even to cover the cost of what it takes to operate. But you should, yeah.
Track of an index, we're at 30%, we're at 20%, then we need to break even. Just so you see a performance goal, see a track.
So yeah, you would, I mean, total operating out your reserve expenses for the site is $209,000, $329.53. Rentals that are private rentals, you have $4,274.85, just to give you perspective. That's what's the private. If you're moving on part of the rooms, even with the increase though, that's still great because our expenses going up, electric's going up 5%, water's going up 5%. We got both here, the state contract sticks in place for a little while longer, so that's great, but you'll never, unfortunately, the total income we get from it. You'll never repeat them, but like I said, we should take a picture.
Thank you.
Need help again, if I'm helpful, Amy knows something.
Thank you so much, Mike. But I think to your comment, John, that's part of the annual review. Right? I mean, my fear is in this timeline, they want to go through here. We just take ourselves along summer work, and summer is when we just learned, we're all in different states doing different things. So that is so May is good, at least hopefully we'll get a lot knocked out before everybody goes where they go for the summer in June. That's the ideal, but I do worry about the amount of work we have for us.
Well, it's not really gonna be the same months.
Well, yeah.
Maybe you will.
One thing, I'll say, some people file late, I think it's sort of like a late file.
Yeah, May's not. It's a lot of people out there.
It could work, I mean, if we require, if it's.
It's only that.
So let's talk about it.
I have counted.
I do my count checking first. I I'll say mine.
So it's a file rate.
I want my.
I think at least June first, I would give them at least a month.
I was thinking June, but I know it kind of gives us less time before we miss.
It's a really difference.
It is, there's a lot of people file just like a couple of weeks later, counts are under the gun, everybody's less too. So yeah, I would say June first does make sense.
Okay. I was gonna say, we have an extension to 20. Just.
I think it's everywhere.
If that's the case, if that's the case, do we accept 2022?
I was gonna say, maybe, I was thinking previous year.
We could like.
It's not gonna be that much
Percentage.
percentage.
Maybe
People are tripling their business.
Okay, let's put that.
But that could be a case by case too. That could be like a.
Yeah, we can substantiate what.
I just-
in their file, but the paperwork, and okay.
I'm stuck on my pet peeve of the whole priorities committee. Residents versus non-residents. I think it's a sticking point in this town. That any partner program outside will be able to use any people.
But they have to have so many percentage of residents.
That's gonna raise the percentage.
And that's like a month.
That's totally doable.
No, yeah, I get it.
5%.
And I know we're not a gated community, they are private, paying HOAs, it's just, I'm just telling it, I'm sure you guys, you hear people get upset, like that guy playing tennis, and he can't use, tennis courts, it's a sticking.
Well, the other thing too is that a club has never had a contract. And this will be new, because that's the next phase of work going in this journey. The club will have a contract. The partner program does have a contract that says a percentage of resident to non-resident. And I think I'm right to say,
Maybe
your
about that.
contract is really partner programs are kid focused.
But it's only 50% now, right?
Yeah, it used to be more, I
I was
believe,
gonna
the
say,
previous
mine was
committee, it was like 67%.
I think
We lowered it to 50% because we were, discussing about like faculty members, like K-3 students that, either work or, go to school.
I would say keep it higher, but then as a resident.
I agree.
I was also considering that for the Grand Manor's employees, they can be considered part of the resident pool.
Yeah, we can determine that, we can write a definition.
I don't think they want to stay here, they want to add it.
I'm gonna go somewhere.
like the picture.
Facebook. Facebook celebrations. So we could alter the definition and raise the percent, which we can do. You know, when we get to the contracting phase of what a contract is.
And then, we're not gonna have time today, because we're about 5 minutes away, but, something on the next proximate meeting, besides number 3, which I was hoping to discuss, is enforcement. Going towards, if, you, reserve and you stay for 2 hours or something, what's the enforcement mechanism? What's the punitive mechanism to help enforce it?
Is that app ever gonna happen? Remember how they were talking about the booking app to the reserve boards?
At the moment, they are still working on test trials, like with different residents.
And that activity,
That was something we were hoping would alleviate a lot of the issues, so that was really not something this year.
and the tech committee is working on an app. There's one.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
but,
that's in the works.
but enforcement though, if you reserve it, that's great, but if you show someone and say, I'm not getting enforced.
So ideally, if that app comes into play and it wasn't, it would have a park monitor number to call that I'm here, it's my turn to play, they're not getting. That's how ideally it's supposed to be enforced. And then the park monitor comes and enforces, and then heaven forbid, they would be the ones to call for trespassing.
I mean, if someone actually uses the app that does observe it, at least know what that person is.
Yeah.
So then they can lose that privilege for the next.
And they were saying there were potentially ways to block it.
Right, that's what I
You
mean.
can't try to book it for the next, like, not sure.
6
They
months.
didn't, but they said there were potentially ways to, for that in the,
Oh,
when they talk.
the easy way to do it is don't even post it. If they only post a week ahead, you don't do it.
Exactly, but you also can't go book, like, you,
Right, you can't,
one account can book 1 hour type thing, so it's not. I mean, it's, there's never gonna be a perfect solution.
Never.
You can have, you can call all your friends who don't play tennis to book times for you.
if
There's always a workaround.
And enforcement can fine, or, I don't know, the trespass.
Or lose privilege.
Yeah,
Whatever the ramification is, there will be.
and it's always brigade, but it's there.
That's probably a couple months away.
Yeah.
Yes. To your previous comment, though, that we kind of added that 3, are you comfortable with the annual review?
Yeah, sure.
Did we had a comment about if someone says, I don't want to be a Lincoln Farm, I want to be a partner program? Then at the annual review, that's when we'd say, okay, start having products or whatever that. They decide.
Just on a side note, we still haven't decided what Presbyterian church is.
You had a feel,
Yeah.
a few of them you had no idea.
Private place.
Yes.
Pamphlets are all kind of- I do, I love you.
Yeah, I didn't think about it at all, quite honestly. Does anyone have any comments? Yes.
Well, I did email you and Nikki about, I don't know. The definition for the civic and service group, it says they do not provide compensation for their employee. I don't know if any of I know that churches do.
You're right.
So that, if we keep that definition, that will exclude. KFC, I do not think that they provide any employee compensation.
What about the charity?
Well,
Now-
I think some of them shoot salaries, if I don't, so that's.
Yeah.
That's where that 401, the 501c4 came in. That they're not allowed to profit, but they are permitted to have salaried employees.
Celebration Foundation, I don't know what their salary, if she gets a salary, she's volunteer too.
She does.
She does. So, something to look at next time.
Yeah.
I mean, if you wanted to do more research on the 501c4, and it still can be a charity, they'll just have to provide the documentation for instead of 3.
What is, Celebration Foundation? All right. Presbyterian, we're starting, it's next meeting. We have, any more comments or motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Oh, yeah, comment, go ahead.
At some point, they suggest we start talking about.
We are not allowed to for 1 year.
At some point, when we are not start one.
So that would be, the vote was when?
And
It was June, the vote was June, I saw the cruise.
Okay.
So in June of 2024, so July of 2024. is when-
It's fine.
No, because I know this would be-
It'll definitely come up to, yeah.
We need to break this kind of.
Yes.
Sitting talking about, there's a lot of data, there's.
It's like Democrats or Republicans.
Yeah, that's right.
I guess one other thing,
Will be June next year.
I think you mentioned that if we as a committee agreed that propose discussion on a certain item, we also agreed that this would ask the board for that. Wait a minute, I guess. Just for that.
What?
Shade structures. We have to, if you agree.
How did that work? Shade structure under,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, hey guys. Shade structures for the playgrounds, John, or what in particular?
Playgrounds, pools, the pool, pump structure. I think that was.
I don't, Nikki, are they, I know we're looking at shade structures specifically for like the playgrounds, and I know we had a couple months ago looked at it, but have we gotten anywhere with that, or where is that overall? And I guess, is that a place where the rec committee can opine on that?
So I know Brian's in the process of still working on it. He's trying to work with a vendor on getting a better deal per se. But as far as the committee, that's not considered our goals and objectives. However, if the committee did make a recommendation, it could go to the pro board, Charles, for approval on whether you'd like the committee to discuss that topic.
Yeah, what, John, I mean, it's, I'll defer to the committee. I mean, certainly if the committee wants to talk about it, and we would, I can certainly take it back to the board and discuss. I think we're probably at a good point. And John, I know we had a kind of a sidebar at one of the village talks about that. I think that's what you're referring to. So yeah, I mean, it's up to you all. I mean, I'll always advocate for you all if it's something important. So I'll defer to Victoria and you all if you want to talk about it, but I'll certainly bring it to the board if it gets to that point.
okay,
I had a few quotes I can find, so.
let's table that for the next one too. Everybody think about whether you want that to be on a plate. And we can add that accordingly with the reason why or why not, if you don't mind. And then, we'll add that to the next agenda. That's a voting meeting, so we'll vote on whether we'll add it or not, and then, react accordingly.
There's a typo on this form. There's a bit missing. The last line item on. Where you send it out.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Me? Go Brewers! All right. Thanks, everyone.
Are you doing better?
Yeah.
That's it.